Hello and welcome to the JKSC UK podcast. Today I am joined by Colonel Ajay Raina, who was born in 1969 in Jammu, where he completed his education. In 1949, Colonel Raina's family was forced to migrate from Kalkot, which is now in PoJK. He was commissioned into 93 Field Regiment in December of 1990 and had the privilege of commanding the same regiment from 2007 to 2008. He was awarded the Sena Medal, Gallantry, while serving in the Rashtriya Rifles Battalion somewhere in northern Kashmir in 2006. He took premature retirement in 2017 and has since become the Founder-Trustee of Military History Research Foundation. He has authored and edited a total of 29 books, mostly related to military history and allied subjects. Some of these books have been translated into various Indian languages. Sir contributes regularly to newspaper and online portals, as well as is a known face on a social media platform that deals with history, geography, and international affairs. He's a motivational speaker, a well-established panelist, and has hosted high-profile debates on stage. Today, the topic we're here to discuss is common to all now. Jammu and Kashmir has for decades remained at the heart of India-Pakistan strategic contest. But today, a significant and increasing consequential crisis is unfolding in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. What began as public anger over electricity prices, food subsidies, and economic hardships has now evolved into a much broader political confrontation. To help us understand the root of these crises, its strategic implications, and where the situation may be headed, Colonel Raina is here with us today. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for calling me over. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sir, to begin with, for a lot of our viewers who may have only encountered headlines about this protest, can you explain what exactly is happening in Mirpur and Muzaffarabad today? And why has this crisis suddenly become so significant?
Okay, so, Sarah, if you permit, I'll go a bit into history to build the context. So, what we call PoJK today, Pakistanis call it Azad Kashmir. And as far as Indians are concerned, the PoJK, that is Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the whole territory actually consists of their so-called Azad Kashmir and their so-called northern areas, that is Gilgit-Baltistan. So on 1st of January 1949, when the ceasefire happened, the whole area was being referred to as, that time they used to call it POK. That was the thing. 2 months after that, in the month of April, 3 months after that, Pakistani government, using a minister without any portfolio, signed an agreement, secret agreement, with that time president of so-called Azad Kashmir, Sardar Ibrahim. Now, Sardar Ibrahim was from Punch, area from where my family comes from. So he, as president of Azad Kashmir, signed a secret agreement with another guy who was the chairman of Muslim Conference. The Muslim Conference was a predecessor of our national conference, which is Sheikh Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah, Umar Abdullah. So these guys said, okay, the understanding was that if Sardar Ibrahim, who was that time de facto president of whole of occupied territories, he agreed to cut out northern area, Gilgit-Baltistan, and let it go to Pakistan as a province or whatever entity Pakistan wanted. In return, Pakistan would one day assimilate Azad Kashmir into Pakistan as a fifth province. So this was the agreement, signed in April 49, made public in 1992. That too after a court litigation happened. And Sardar Ibrahim in his memoirs writes that he never signed. He's no more to defend it. So this issue of Pakistan looking down upon PoJK residents who opted to go to Pakistan, who cleansed their whole PoJK area of Hindus and Sikhs in 1947, their treatment by Pakistan, basically Pakistani Punjab-based government, is pretty checkered. That's why I started from there. Now coming down to this ongoing crisis. So Gilgit-Baltistan is not part of Azad Kashmir, but we as Indians must call it. Now we call Gilgit-Baltistan as Pakistan-occupied Ladakh, because Gilgit-Baltistan was part of Ladakh, was and is, because 1994 resolution of Indian Parliament claims that whole of PoJK, including Gilgit-Baltistan, is our territory. So that is Gilgit-Baltistan continues from Ladakh across the Himalayan range. So that is now Pakistan-occupied Ladakh. And what they call Azad Kashmir, which is basically Muzaffarabad, starting from top, Tithwal, Muzaffarabad, and then coming down to Mirpur via Bagh, Rawalakot. The whole area is PoJK. So what happened? Gilgit-Baltistan has a very peculiar issue. After that agreement was signed, so just to showcase to the world that everything is okay in so-called Azad Kashmir, what they did, they extended the same protection to Azad Kashmir, which was being extended to Jammu and Kashmir in India through 370. So contrary to what people feel and believe and speak, the fact is that no non-resident person from outside PoJK has settled in PoJK till now. So PoJK population of 4.1 million is pure PoJKian population. No Punjabi or any other clan has come from rest of other areas from Pakistan and settled there. Bureaucrats come on a posting and go back. Nobody from outside can buy land. Like I said, 370 kind of a thing. But in Gilgit-Baltistan, what they did, the demography there was almost 85% Shias in 47. So Pakistanis, by sending Sunnis from Punjab, has now changed it down. It is now 55, 55, 45. That is a huge change. Now, while change is very big, how it translated on ground was that Gilgit is a barren land. It's like our Ladakh. Wherever there's a river or a stream next to it, some trees will grow and some crop and agriculture is possible. Otherwise, most of land is barren. It's a cold desert. So whatever population they had originally, that area was okay to sustain them. When they introduced so many people from outside and changed the demography, the pressure on the land increased, and the land is not just able to produce that much of crop or wheat or whatever the staple food. So there was an agreement between Gilgit guys and Pakistanis that wheat will be supplied to Gilgit Baltistan every year on a subsidized rate, because they said you send so many people to us who don't belong to this place, now at least give us food. So because they can't. But Gilgit has a lot of hydel power project potential. CPEC runs through it. Then a lot of Chinese townships have come there. Chinese armies there. Chinese Air Force base is there in Skardu. So in return, Pakistan said, okay, you let these things happen, we will give you wheat every year. Now Pakistan itself is facing crisis of food and economy. You know what state it is in. So last 4 5 years, they weren't able to even fulfill the obligation they had made to Gilgit-Baltistan. So Gilgit-Baltistan people came on to protest. When the protest started, first trump card which Pakistan played, they pitched Shias against Sunnis. They created a scene that one Shia cleric had said something against the Prophet. Now Sunnis were out for his Sartan Se Juda. But those guys, luckily, within few months, after a few months long standoff, they understood that it's a game being played by Rawalpindi. So they patched up and they created something called Joint Awami Action Committee within Gilgit Baltistan. Now that is the idea which came to PoJK 3 years back. Before that, PoJK guys would protest on something, then protests will die down, the leaders will sell themselves off. This is how it was happening. But Joint Action Committee in Gilgit Baltistan actually created a lot of issues for Pakistanis. And then Afghans also came and entered Chitral, and you know that history of last couple of years. Now coming to PoJK. So PoJK, which had like Rawalakot, because Rawalakot is a place through which my ancestors walked. Bagh was our Tahsil, which is to the north of Rawalakot. Rawalakot in those days were also termed as a Badmash country. People were kind of ruffians, that kind of a psych. So Rawalakot would do its own protest. Muzaffarabad, the capital of PoJK, they'll have their own protest. And the lower PoJK, which is basically Plandari and Mirpur, they'll have their own issues. They're never united. But this joint action committee thing happening in Gilgit Baltistan actually gave them an idea. So about 3 years back, all these guys got together and they now call it Jammu and Kashmir Joint Awami Action Committee. And through your platform, I would also request our media in India to at least learn from them and start calling it Jammu and Kashmir rather saying Kashmir, Kashmir. See, calling it Azad Kashmir is a narrative built by Pakistan because Kashmir sells at international stage. There is no Kashmiri there. As per Pakistan's own census, only 5% people in PoJK speak Kashmiri. They are Puthwaris, my clan, Pahadis. Their language is similar to or closely it resembles Punjabi. It has nothing to do with Kashmiri. So we should be very correct when we refer to that area. It is Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, or just called Pahadi area. You can't call them Kashmiris. So it's a narrative actually. So these guys started their protest 3 years back, saying that we are the producer of electricity, because like Gilgit-Baltistan, PoJK also produces a lot of electricity. Mangla Dam, which is in Mirpur, is a major headwork built by our Maharaja Hari Singh, but then now it's in Pakistan. And water from there goes into canals of Pakistan, Punjab. So if you are Mirpuri, living in Mirpur district, you cannot draw a bucket of water from your own reservoir. The whole water goes only to Punjab. So if you are a Mirpuri and you are building a house or you want water for your agriculture, you need to have a tube well of your own. You cannot take water from the river, which is your river, where your ancestors have lived for centuries. Okay. So it started from there. They said, we are producing electricity, we are giving you water, and you are charging us 50 rupees per unit for electricity. So a lot of protests happened. The first thing Pakistan government did, they sent rangers. They were bashed up. Thereafter, Pakistan government failed every student across PoJK, whosoever was in 11th class. So 1 year, complete students who were, that segment of population which were aspiring to be doctors after 1 year or joining a medical college somewhere, they were all failed without giving any reason as a punishment. Then they passed a very funny order saying that if you want to protest, you have to take DC's permission 7 days in advance. And if it doesn't give you permission, you can't protest. And it happened after a lady was raped by somebody from outside. Now, locals said, yeah, if such kind of incident happens today or somebody dies and we want to protest, do we really need to wait for 7 days? And that too after the DC says no, because the DC, VCC, all the bureaucrats come from outside. So this is how it started. It started on the basic issues like electricity. The government thereafter sat on the table and they said, okay, instead of 50 rupees like every other Pakistani was paying, you pay 7 rupees, 6 rupees 50 paise something. Some way it was given. And out of 41 lakh, 4.1 million population of PoJK, around 2.1 million, more than half, doesn't live in PoJK because there's nothing here. Development has been minimal, and job opportunities are nix. So these guys go into main Pakistan and into West Asia. So all these troubled zones like Iraq, Syria, here you find guys from PoJK. And those who have migrated to Britain, they are the ones who are leading grooming gangs. They are PoJK guys basically. And those who gone to Pakistan, most of them are settled around Islamabad. They are big landlords. So whosoever had money in PoJK shifted to other parts of Pakistan. Whosoever had nothing, they went working into conflict zones where nobody wants to go. And those who could manage swim across oceans, whatever, they reach UK, and now they're creating ruckus there. So this is a kind of a while we feel very bad when things happen with them, but this is how they are. And since I belong to that area, so I know them very well. Anyway, so we are talking about facts. We're not really, I'm not trying to carry memories of my ancestors, what happened to them. No, that is too, I was not affected directly, so I don't have a reason to really go beyond a point. So this was happening. So they were saying, and then they have a Supreme Court. PoJK has own high court and Supreme Court. Now it sounds very fancy that you have a small region, which is like any smaller than an Indian state, and they have their own Supreme Court. So you must be thinking, oh, okay, today something happens, you go to High Court, file a case. It's a small territory. There's a Supreme Court. So next day decision comes, and third day you go to Supreme Court, and no, it doesn't happen like this. The gray area there is, or rather black area there is, that if Supreme Court of PoJK gives a decision which is not liked by any of the litigants, that person cannot approach Supreme Court of Pakistan. So your everything judicial, whatever redressal you want, finishes inside PoJK. Then you can't vote for Pakistani government because you are not part of that. Promise was never kept. So Azad Kashmir was never made fifth province of Pakistan. It is still Azad Kashmir. They have their own flag. They have their own president. But now this year, what has happened is this the earlier protests, which were basically regarding aspirations, like any citizen wants a good judicial system, a good bureaucracy, uh, redressal of their problems, and electricity, water, education. This year they shifted gears and they came into, like I said, they are motivated by Joint Action Committee of Gilgit-Baltistan, because they saw how if they get together, how can they what wonders they can do, kind of, which are doing actually. So they said, now we want electoral reform, now which is the main agenda. Now they have 38 points even today. Some are like routine, but like, don't spend money on politicians, don't spend money on bureaucrats, don't give them life or whatever. The main agenda is they have 53 seats, which are, their elections are held whenever they're held. And all these parties, Benazir Bhutto's PTI, Nawaz PMLN, Imran Khan's PTI, sorry, Benazir is the People's Party. All three main parties of Pakistan have ruled over PoJK in the past. So none of them can say, "Oh, I wanted to be very fair. I never got a chance." So all of them have got. Actually, PoJK elections are sold. I tell you how and why they're protesting. So there are 53 seats. Out of 53, 12 seats, the elections for 12 seats are held outside PoJK. The logic is that a lot of PoJK residents live outside, like I explained earlier. So to facilitate their voting, election booths are put up in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, Multan, all these places. Now, like I said, only rich PoJK guys have shifted to other parts of Pakistan. Other guys, lower class, have gone into West Asia and they've gone wherever they have to go. So they don't vote in any case. Now, these 12 seats are actually decided outside PoJK and decided by Pakistan Army. This is a known fact. So 12 gone. So out of 53, you're left with 41 seats. Election is held for 36 seats. 5 seats are kept for nomination. And who nominates? Whichever party comes to power in PoJK, they elect their president. And whosoever is elected as president then nominates 5 more guys. So 12 plus 5, 17 seats are gone. Already decided. Because whosoever wins those 12 seats will ultimately form government in Pakistan, and they will have a president who will again pick up their own guys. So these guys are saying that world over, whenever elections are held, including in India, if people are staying outside, the legal citizens, so there's a provision of postal ballot. Then there's a people come back home. It's a get together time for families. Why it is so peculiar, unique in Pakistan that elections, because elections are held and rigged outside. So this is a demand we started, and it, what Pakistan did, as it did in 71 and as it does to Baloch and others, they cut out the supplies. Now they, Pakistan also did the same thing to Jammu and Kashmir in 47. The trucks which had gone paid up people in Islamabad and Attock. Trucks were loaded and loaded basically with salt and medicine that time. And I think that necessity is everywhere. Even today, you need these basics: salt, medicine, fuel. So they were not allowed to come back to India ever. This is what Pakistan did in 47 when Maharaja Hari Singh refused to sign instrument of accession with Pakistan. Same thing or similar thing they did in this place, Bangladesh. That time, East Pakistan in 71, they carried out genocide on 21st March onwards, 71 onwards. They killed millions of people and raped. They didn't leave anybody. And most of the victims were Hindus, actually, by the way. So similar, they have that soch. See, they don't really value of life in Pakistan is proportional to your place in the society. If you are a rich guy, your life is very valuable. Otherwise, they don't care. And if you look at Pakistan Army, if their officer dies, even if he's a second lieutenant, chief army staff will go and salute his coffin, whatever. 10 Jawans die, nobody goes. Whereas life is life. I mean, for a baby whose father has gone to fight and he dies, does it matter whether he was a captain or he was a havaldar or he was nobody? He was a father. He was head of a family. So this kind of discrimination is there in Pakistan through and through. So these guys did what they've been doing all along. They cut out the supplies, and then they sent Punjab Rangers into PoJK. So PoJK is why I mentioned I belong to that area and clan, because I know we are bullheaded people. Our clan, Punchi or Puthwaris, whether you're Hindu, Muslim, doesn't matter. Everybody's, nobody takes panga with us because we are not people like who will bend down. The tragedy with PoJK guys over that whenever they had this agitation going in the past, it would get sold off. The leaders will sell themselves off, take money and go. This time, because of joint action of Army Action Committee, they have a team instead of one guy. So though they have a chairman, Nazir, but they have, like, from all districts, they have people there, and so they have a a good team which cannot be really bought unless and everybody decides to sell it himself or herself. So this time, in spite of the fact that their capital is in Muzaffarabad, further to the north, they started the epicenter of the protest is Rawalakot, which I told you is a Badmash country. People who are out of the foolhardy people like us, they are the more foolhardy of a different level. Those guys, this is their genes. And now you're seeing what has happened. About 100 people have been killed, more than 100. 18 bodies never been recovered, which is again a Pakistani style of punishing people. Balochistan, you know how many males have gone missing. Mehran Baloch, who's in jail, unfortunately. Her father only was missing for many months and then killed and thrown on the roadside. And news also came that whosoever wanted to claim bodies of people who got killed in firing had to pay 20 lakh rupees to the police station and sign an affidavit saying that we will not utter a word, we will not claim anything from Pakistan government, and we will consider it an accidental death. So this is what is going on there. Uh, and the last one, my monologue has gone on for quite some time. But the last point I would tell you that, like any other conflict happening anywhere in the world, the victims are kids and women, and that thing you are also seeing here. There have been allegations of rape, molestation. There's been an allegation of Punjabi Rangers entering houses of people and then targeting families of those who already been killed. What Pakistan possibly needs to understand that these guys, firstly, I told you they are bullheaded. There are a lot of weapons in PoJK because there are 60,000 ex-servicemen who live in PoJK. 60,000. 35,000 boys from PoJK are serving in different units of Pakistan Army. So the larger issue is if you cross a line, you want to create a East Pakistan here, what you did in Dhaka on 21st March 71 onwards, the repercussion for Pakistan is going to vary because Pakistan is a country controlled by army. And now Pakistanis have upset Baloch troops. The best troops in Pakistan army are fighting capability. Baloch, who are not with Pakistan. Pashtuns, who are fighting in KPK. Whether you call it TTP, you call whatever you want to call it. There's an unrest. KPK, most of KPK is out of control of government of Pakistan. Then you have PoJKians, whom they call Kashmiris, but I call them Pahadis. And then Northern Light Infantry, Gilgit Baltistan guys, who were sent as dressed as terrorists in Kargil and made cannon fodder. So these four uh, races or communities in Pakistan are known for their fighting abilities as soldiers. We as soldiers understand this because a dead soldier is no longer an enemy. He dies for his own country. We fight for our own country. So once a guy is dead, we don't insult them. We don't cut their throats. But we know how they fought. Even Kargil also, the country abandoned them. They fought, and their bodies were not claimed. Now, who are you left with? Punjabis, who have a history of bending. They were the first ones to bend in front of Afghans and converted into whatever they are today. And though they say our ancestors came from Arab, but they were basically Punjabis from plains and Sindhis, who are basically, decent people. They don't get into violence. They had they did flirt with violence once upon a time, but so just imagine a country whose western frontier with Pakistan, Afghanistan is hot. India is breathing down the neck in the eastern front, and with the signing of this defense pact that Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Pakistan attack on one will be taken as attack on another. Iran has attacked Saudi Arabia already, the biggest refinery. They caused a loss of $1 billion last night, and Pakistan done nothing. If it does anything to Iran, so that front will also get heated. So who's going to fight for Pakistan? And who's going to control? Because the moment this thing happens, Shia Sunni friction inside Pakistan will come to fore. So it's a disastrous situation which Pakistan has created by itself for itself. But there's another angle. The angle is that this hard stance taken by Pakistanis against PoJK, knowing very well that if I know that PoJK guys are hard nuts, the Pakistanis also know it. But they're doing it deliberately. Why? Because as per some whispers in Pakistan, Asim Munir, who's already launched his Mohsin Naqvi, the trophy thief who took away our trophy, saying that he's from government. He said this government has failed. Nizam fail ho gaya. So by citing PoJK turbulence as a reason, Asim Munir is now possibly trying to throw this government out and change over from a parliamentary form of democracy to presidential form of democracy and become president of Pakistan. Now, this is a grapevine. I have no evidence, but then I realized that if I see Asim is a Fauji, I'm also Fauji. If I have 35,000 troops serving from one area and good fighters, I will think twice before mishandling their families back home. Because if there's a revolt in Pakistan, because those guys are serving in Balochistan, KPK, all deployed all over. So the Pakistan army will go for six. I think I'll take a pause. I don't know how many minutes I've spoken, but
No, sir,
anyway.
that was actually very informational. I was not interrupting you because I wanted the flow to continue. Your knowledge is immense on this subject. Thank you so much for setting this historic context. I think very few of us outside of these regions and even within India have a real understanding of what's actually happened in PoJK in these past few decades. And be it Gilgit-Baltistan, be it Mirpur, Muzaffarabad, or any of these other regions that you mentioned, I think we don't have a lot of information about the variations there as well
Yeah.
in the common parlance. It's particularly also important for us because India's position, as you said, was that J&K as a whole is an integral part of India, and that India reserves the right to retrieve its legal territories of Mirpur, Muzaffarabad, and Gilgit-Baltistan. And at the same time, I completely agree with you on the nomenclature thing. Kashmir is to use the word Kashmir to describe the entire region could be a misnomer. We are completely misleading this because the Kashmir Valley represents such a small part of the overall territory. Yet the term we often use is Kashmir to describe the whole of Jammu and Kashmir. So all of these contexts, I think, are very important for people to understand before they get into the nitty-gritties of this case. What was also very fascinating was that it could be a political conspiracy as well as a bigger army thing. I think for India, it is very important that we look out for all of these strategic points. But my question to you next would actually be from the same thing. So beyond the immediate protests, why are these regions so important to us? They are an integral part of us, as we've declared over and over again. But from a strategic point of view, be it political, military, or geographic, what is the significance that they hold in terms of line of control, the communication corridors, and the overall security of the region? If we
Okay.
could, yeah.
So yeah. Again, I think I'll go on for 10 minutes
Yes, please.
because you asked a question which has many layers. See, if you look at the geography and look at the map, the border between erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistani Punjab used to run along Jhelum River. Okay. So if you look at the map today, from Jhelum River, the outskirts of Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, the distance is 22 kilometers. 22. You can actually take a gulail and throw a stone if you have a powerful arm. It will reach. And if you want to hit the center of Pakistan, where the DHA colony is there, is 38 kilometers. So in Fauji terms, you don't need to fire BrahMos to destroy Rawalpindi. You just fire a Bofors gun. If India were to take back the PoJK and reach Jhelum Bank, which is a legal this thing, that is a danger which Pakistan feels. That if PoJK falls, their Rawalpindi and which is a suburb of Islamabad, they are together, as you know, twin cities. They'll become highly vulnerable. Okay, that is at a very basic level. Second is the complete supply of water to Pakistan runs through PoJK. Now this PoJK means Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. You look at the rivers running into Pakistan, start from top Indus, it runs via Gilgit-Baltistan, Ladakh, then Gilgit-Baltistan and down. Then you come down, then you have Krishna Ganga River, they call it Neelam, coming from Gurez Valley, joins up with the Jhelum River in Muzaffarabad and flows down and creates that boundary between, like I said, erstwhile princely state. Now, Jhelum itself originates from Barinag in Kashmir, flows into Pakistan. Then you have Chenab, which originates in Himachal Pradesh, goes into Pakistan. And then you have other rivers, Ravi, Satluj, and Beas, which are in any case are rivers as per IW. We are not supposed to let any water go that side. So these big rivers which run the agro economy of Pakistan, whatever is left of that, or produce electricity for them, they are all in PoJK. So they know. And if you ever, I mean, I'm sure you won't be able to, but maybe, you never know, if you ever walk into ISI office in Pakistan where their boss sits, there's a saying by an Australian officer who raised ISI in 1948. There he says that it's vital for Pakistan to claim Kashmir. Like you said, Kashmir means Jammu and Kashmir, because water security of Pakistan lies in Kashmir. So impact of that you are already watching after we suspended IWT, Indus Water Treaty. Okay. The third thing is that if this boils up further, PoJK, like what they've done, Pakistan Army and Rangers have cut supplies going into PoJK. That cutting of supplies has also been countered by local residents by cutting out their vehicles going into supply along the supply lines which supply army inside PoJK. So Azad Kashmir Army, which is deployed in Kishanganga Valley or Neelam Valley, the only route of supply is from Muzaffarabad. Now, I mean, because Jhelum has very few bridges in Pakistan. They have, I think, four bridges. No, two, three were there during Maharaja's time. They built two more, four or five bridges. So if any stocking has to reach Pakistani army deployed along line of control in areas of Thithwal, Gurej, Keren, I mean, along line of control in PoJK, those lines are also been affected. So if this disturbance goes beyond a limit, you will have Pakistan army stranded inside Neelam Valley without supplies. And now, if you raise the level, and like you see, KPK again is boiling. They had a clash day before yesterday, and then last week they were carrying out a peace rally sponsored by Pakistan in Swat, which Swat is just north of Rawalpindi. And one TTP guy came and blew himself up, killed 12 policemen and whatever. So if those guys and these guys, they're neighbors, if both these parties, that is TTP guys and PoJK guys, they join up, complete supply to Gilgit Baltistan will stop, because Pakistan CPAC, Karakoram Highway, now CPAC, and supply lines to Gilgit Baltistan, they run through KPK. So imagine that if those supply lines get cut, it's a cold area, winters are coming. Like a 4G, I tell you, in Ladakh, or this is a time when our all stocking is happening, advanced stocking for winters. All troops deployed in Ladakh. Opposite Ladakh and mountains of Kashmir, you have PoJK and Gilgit Baltistan. So if their supplies are not able to, you can't carry everything by air. Now, their truckload of diesel, petrol, kerosene oil, atta, chawal, everything can't be. No, a rich nation can do it, but then we know how rich Pakistan is today. So it's a big strategic implication, and that's why I say, I've been saying it for about 3 years now when Gilgit Baltistan was on fire, that since 1994 resolution of parliament, like you also mentioned, says that whole of Jammu and Kashmir is ours. So when they cut out the supplies of medicines into PoJK and rations, why couldn't we send 3 4 drones carrying some medicines, paracetamol, and drop them there? It's our area, no? So you say it's our area, it's in trouble. Okay, it's not under our control, but these are our people. Make a statement. Those 3 4 bags of medicine carrying paracetamol will not heal every Pakistan PoJK resident who's been shot or who's not feeling well. But it's a statement which a state makes. Okay, this is our area. You're troubling people who belong to us. Now, heart of heart, I don't want PoJKins to come to India, because the 4.1 million people will upset the whole demography of Jammu and Kashmir and, of course, India. That is a different debate. How we, in case it comes to us, how will we handle? Is there a case to quarantine for 15 years and extend our borders to Jhelum, send our army there, but not allow any POJK to come into India without passport or some document? That's a different state. But you have to make a statement. We made this statement in Sri Lanka when Tamilians were being bugged by Sri Lankans. Rajiv Gandhi government actually sent aircraft carrying a few bags of rations and escorted by fighter. And today we don't have to send the fighter aircraft and take the risk. We just have to send drones. Drones which can carry 200 kgs of load can go and drop something in POJK, make a statement, and come back, drop some leaflets. That is one. Secondly, the line of control. Till 99, it was the artillery used to fire. I'm a gunner. I'm an artillery officer myself. I served there. We used to fire day, night, both sides. Today, Pakistan doesn't have ammunition to fire back at us. and because they supplied their ammunition to Ukraine, where all that ammunition started busting inside Ukraine's guns, and Ukrainians lost their life. They stopped buying. Plus, Pakistanis also have this shortage of, in addition to ammunition, this medium gun ammunition, they don't have proper guns. They have a lot of Chinese guns. You would have read the report, 250 guns have come recently. So in Operation Sindoor, when they started bombing our Punch, where 17 civilians were killed, we also bombed them nicely. Now, what happened that side, we will not tell you because we don't know what's happening on the other side of the hill. But when they tried to counter us, their gun barrels were burst, because when RT guns keeps firing, the barrel becomes red hot. So unless until your metallurgy is of very high standard, at some point that metal gives way, and then it becomes like a flower. That barrel which is tube becomes like a flower. हम उसको कहते हैं फूल बन गया. So Pakistani Chinese guns actually became flowers. So if today, if we don't want to send medicine, we don't want to make a statement. I only twice Indian government MEA has made statement about uh, what's happening there. If we just open line of control and start firing, shooting into Pakistan, PoJK, not on civilians but on Pakistanis, the pressure on PoJK people who are protesting and who are facing the bullets of the army, the pressure will reduce, because see, civilians have a limit. Now they're reaching a way, either they will have to switch over to terrorism, or we won't say call it terrorism, we call it armed insurgency, or they'll have call it off. Because as a civilian population, which with where no withal, the wherewithal, and your medicine supplies are stopped, your rations supply is stopped, how long can you sustain? You have kids, you have ladies, you have old people, you have cattle. How many people can you really see? When they stopped the LPG gas supply last month, so what these guys did in the villages, they went into forest and cut a lot of wood and started cooking the way they used to cook in earlier days. Now in cities you can't cook. Imagine you're staying in a flat and you lit fire there. The whole thing will go. The flat will catch fire. I mean, there's a way, and then you need to know how to cook on a wooden stove. So in cities, what they did, whosoever had a courtyard, so four, five, six families, neighbors, families, whatever, whosoever had the bigger courtyard, in the courtyard they started cooking. So open fire. Now it is monsoon season, so it rains off and on every day almost. So there are issues there. And let's not discount another development which happened last year around October, November, or December 2025. TTP announced something called TTP Kashmir. So when they announced this, our media, hyperactive as they are, they said, "Oh no, no, now Indian Kashmir is going to face problem because Afghans are going to come into Jammu and Kashmir and our Jammu and Kashmir." And basically, TTP was making a statement that if need be, we will get into PoJK, because PoJK they call as Kashmir, like mentioned. So there's a TTP. And about 3 weeks back, a video came out from PoJK. There's a ban there. Internet is, but people are using VPN and just trying to smuggle out videos where four or five guys wearing black dresses were seen with weapons. Now there's no way to ascertain uh, that the video actually is from PoJK or wherever. But because if you keep pushing people against the wall, and people are there, which I told you, 60,000 veterans and then 35,000 people serving, and they have a lot of weapons. A stage will come when people will start shooting back at Pakistani forces, and that will be end of Pakistani control over PoJK. And I tell you why I say this. The last time, about a week back, when they had this cremation of the burial of people killed in firing, the veterans came out carrying their own weapons, and they gave them guard of honor, and they fired 21 shots in air like it is done for soldiers. So people have weapons, people have the will to fight, and but till now they're saying we're peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. But I'll tell you a larger issue. Since I told you I'll take 10 minutes, so I can take liberty before I forget. Larger issue is, what should we do? It's okay sending medicine by drone and all that's all right, but larger issue is what happens finally, eventually. Say there's a armed struggle, or Pakistan army just loses its bearing because Balochis are also bashing them up, KPK also bashing them up. What happens to PoJK? Now, when we look at Balochistan, and we say, like I say, I love Baloch people, I support them, and day Balochistan becomes free, I already have an offer from their future government people to come and visit them. Now, Balochistan doesn't touch our borders. And it's a huge country. They have a sea, so they can trade with the world. They have port, Gwadar port. They have another port next to Gwadar. So they have a flank open to interact with the world, to trade with the world. Oil will come from somewhere. They also have a lot of minerals, a lot of LPG, everything they have. KPK, when they become independent, they will go and merge with Afghanistan and create that bigger Pashtunistan. As you would know that Afghanistan also, Pashtuns are only Kabul and southwards. If you go to north, you have Hazaras and other Tajiks and Uzbeks. So Pashtunistan is basically either side of Durand line. So they will also go, and then they will have whatever fate Afghanistan is facing. They'll have PoJK if it gets liberated. I'm talking Azad Kashmir will be a landlocked country if at all it gets liberated. Where will a landlocked country go? When you have to the south of your geography is Pakistani Punjab. If you separate from them, they not allow you passage. So there's no business happening. Like Pakistan doesn't allow our flights. Pakistan doesn't allow the pipeline which was supposed to run from Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. It's called TAPI. The TAPI project is on paper for last 30 years. Would have changed our energy scene, but it's not happening because Pakistan is not cooperating. So where will POJK residents go? They don't have a port. They don't have access to any other country unless until Afghans do favor to them. Afghans themselves are in turmoil. I don't know when they're going to settle down. So willy nilly, the pressure of helping or looking after POJK will come onto us. Especially so because we have already said in 1994 resolution that is our area, which is a fact. So I'm sure government is looking at from that angle and preparing itself because if POJK becomes independent tomorrow, we cannot afford to close our eyes and feel happy about it. And the demography issue of changing demography, Jammu and Kashmir again a very sensitive issue. How it will be handled? How will we should protect POJK? How will we then deal with Afghans who have a stake? Chitral is claimed by Afghanistan. Chitral is not part of Gilgit-Baltistan. In Maharaja's time also, Chitral used to pay tribute to our Maharaja. It was not a part of our state. So those issues are there. Because if you say POJK comes to us, take it for granted. If that happens, Gilgit-Baltistan will also get free. Though there the issue is between us and China. Pakistan has no role to play in Gilgit-Baltistan. It's beyond their control. But China has invested heavily in Gilgit-Baltistan. Opening up Gilgit-Baltistan means our open access to Central Asian republics, which is the second biggest uh, store of natural gas after Gulf. So our energy security lies that side. So for that we need Gilgit-Baltistan. Then you have a Khan corridor of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and beyond that is Central Asian republics. So those pipelines, and Russia is like Russia yesterday announced a railway line and all. So I'm sure things are happening in Delhi. People are thinking about it. While many of us may say that okay, let's enjoy, look at POJK turmoil and feel happy, but then we have to plan. Uh, in the situation which prevails today, where we have uh, issue in Hormuz energy supplies kind of not reliable. US Congress has passed a 100% tariff against India and China and two, three more countries in case we keep buying. So there's a pressure on the country. There's an inflationary pressure which government has absorbed till now. In India, as you would know, your folks home would tell you that the oil price and petrol diesel price have not gone up that much as they've gone elsewhere. In this situation, if you have to feed 41 lakh people and look after their needs and construct roads and all, is going to be a very messy thing. And this is not the right time. Maybe once everything stabilizes, we can absorb those money and keep them separate, quarantined, and educate them, re-educate them, kind of China is doing to in Xinjiang, whatever way we want. But it's going to, the questions will be asked from us. We cannot ignore it beyond a point. Yeah.
So that was a lot of comprehensive information about the supply chains and the whole economic impact of things. And I think New Delhi is should be keeping an eye out on these developments. I was actually going to ask you about India and how we should be interpreting these developments and what you say is the wider implication of water security, but you've already explained that so eloquently. So I might just want to go back and switch gears a little bit to another event that we saw in August of 1965. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was correct. Sorry, in August of 1965, when India captured the peak of Pir Panjal after Operation Gibraltar during the Indo-Pakistan War. However, we had to surrender it back in the Tashkent Peace Treaty. But why was that so important, sir? Could you explain the significance of that operation and how is it of strategic relevance to us today?
See, that place is called Hajipir Pass. It is on a
Yes.
Panchal.
Yeah.
So even Gibraltar, that operation, it was the base of, it became a pivot. Everybody who came into Kashmir dressed as a jihadi, mujahideen, or those who trickled back down into Punch and Rajouri, they used Haji Pir Pass because Haji Pir is sitting on top of Pir Panjal, north of which is Kashmir and south of which is Jammu region, that's Rajouri Punch. We gave it back. There's a long history. There are a lot of conspiracy theory, death of Shastriji is related to it, but yes, we gave it back. Now, if you take that area back, by the way, when we captured it, for about 8 months, Indian government ran a school in Hajipir. There's a village next to Hajipir because it was our territory. So there was a school, and there was a school teacher in Baramulla who was posted to that school, and that gentleman carrying a rolled blackboard. You see that? What is the material? Rexin blackboard with
Yeah.
two kind of sticks and some pieces of chalk and one mat and one pillow. He'll end up there, and he taught the kids for 4 or 5 months, and then India decided to give it back, and then he came back. So I've written his story in my book. He's no more. So today, if you look at the importance of Haji Pir, it is same as it was 30, 40 years back. Haji Pir is a pivot. It's a place sitting on the main infiltration route. Even today, when Pakistanis try to send people into Kashmir or into Rajouri Punch, this is one of the main routes. There are many routes, but this is one of the main routes, and it is well established. It dominates till the time a guy comes crosses into India. You can't even know you can't even see what's happening that side because it's dominating, sitting on top. So I would say that the as and when this Operation Sindoor resumes kinetic phase, India should, I think, plan to take it, but not by sending army there. It's not worth it. It's a very tough fight. That would mean 100, 200 lives lost. We should just bombard it out. We have precision weapons. If you could hit their Nur Khan base, the basement, and blew up that $500 million their nerve center, we can always pluck Hajibir Pass using our precision guided weapons and then go and walk into and take it over. As a soldier, I don't want it to be taken and kind of for 200 lives or 150 limbs. No, not worth it. But yes, it is very, very important. That time, Major Deala Para regiment had led the operation. Later on, he retired as Lieutenant General. And that time, luckily, we didn't have many casualties. That was, we did have casualties, but it's a very tough place. I've seen it. It's like, like you seen the movie called Cliffhanger. That kind of a cliff, not really vertical, but almost vertical. And then you have a lot of domination over by observation and by your instruments and by fire. So yes, whatever has happened, we can't really do undo the thing. But yes, that was something which remains. Even today, we debate in army circles why it was given, shouldn't have been given. But okay, whatever is bygone is bygone.
Like you said, sir, that is probably a bigger political conspiracy at play. But another event of August that brings me to the other thing was 5th August. We recently celebrated 7 years of the abrogation of Article 370. And I think we can see a lot of contrasts between the Indian-controlled J&K versus the Pakistani-occupied J&K. We see one area where we're talking about connectivity, infrastructure development, we're talking about railway lines, and on the other side, they're still struggling to get basic resources. They're talking about electricity and wheat pricing. So there's a lot of contrast in how both in supposedly Indian territories are being managed and governed. But sir, that brings me to how there's an international narrative being built around Jammu and Kashmir since forever. But I think, especially in the UK, we have an all-party parliamentary group on Kashmir with a lot of prominent members of Pakistani origin, and a lot of them have significant links to the Mirpur region. As you said, they've all kind of taken away from there. The group has repeatedly raised concerns with the Foreign Office about developments in the region, and BBC even took out a piece critiquing Pakistan for its restrictions on international media reporting, which is ironic because a lot of times Pakistan was the one making that claims for the Indian side of the LOC. So how do you view these interventions, and what do you think may have been the wider international narrative surrounding the JNK in light of the protests now?
See, we call it Indian Kashmir. We don't call it
Yeah.
Indian control because we don't control. It is part of our country. Yeah, contrast though. See, earlier we used to talk about it and used to try to tell Pakistanis, look at us, look at our Kashmir. Today, if you go to any Pakistani channel and look at a debate there, including Pakistanis who are sitting in UK and running some channels, Adil Raja and all these guys. Now, these guys have started speaking openly. Not only Kashmir, now they're comparing Azad Kashmir with the intimate area which lies in our territory, that is Punch Rajouri. Because, like I said, PoJK doesn't have Kashmiris. So comparing non-Kashmiri territory with Kashmir is still, you can compare it, of course, because they are either side of a LOC, like you said, but ethnically and culturally, Rajouri Punch is more closely related to Azad Kashmir, so-called Azad Kashmir. So even there, the comparison is so much like in Jammu. Jammu has been on the receiving end of Kashmiri political leadership in Jammu and Kashmir. So whatever development you see in Kashmir, none of that has happened in Jammu. Even then, we are miles ahead of our counterparts who live in PoJK. Now, as far narrative is concerned, historically we've been very weak. We must confess and admit where our weakness lies. Operation Sindoor, our army and our forces bashed up Pakistanis like they made a mincemeat of all of them. But narrative wise, Pakistan actually had an edge over us. While we were preparing our weapons to shoot them, they were preparing PowerPoint presentations and memes and creating those false radio signals showing one pilot talking to another pilot and panicking and all that. This was being done when they were preparing to. They knew that India is going to attack, and what we were doing, we were concentrating on our weapon systems, our precision guided missiles and radars and intelligence gathering. So we failed there. Let's be honest. Similarly, if you look back into history from 47, it's always Pakistan is the one where narrative is made. A reason is there are two reasons. Firstly, West has a lot of love and uh, soft corner of Pakistan. Same BBC has carried out so many propaganda programs and movies against India just because Pakistan kicked them recently, and they also kicked Al Jazeera after they reported those elections in 12 booths where nobody went for voting, and then they declared phase one election over, 24 seats shared by two main parties, all it's all rigged. That after that, Al Jazeera was also kicked, and BBC was also kicked. That's why now they're shouting. Otherwise, BBC traditionally has been in a complete West. Firstly, these guys are all over. Secondly, in Operation Sindoor, I did try to bring it to attention of government of India that Russian TV channels, Russian TV channels uh, running program in English always had a Pakistani commentator during Operation Sindoor. Russia as a friend, and we didn't have a single Indian there explaining our way of kind of how things were happening in how we were countering their drones, how were we shooting down their aircraft, how were we blasting their airfields. Nothing. So they have this presence. One thing is that they are so starved that they are all over. They go everywhere legally, illegally, and then create lobbies. Second issue is that we always feel that truth should be spoken. So that thing in our DNA is that if you are in a place of accountability or authority, you should not be speaking anything which is false. Pakistanis have no such hang-ups. Third is when you cannot counter us militarily, the only weapon left is propaganda. And that propaganda, they do it very well because you must have seen the videos from this is how China does videos from Pakistan where you will have a wall with 50 odd mobile phones, only their chips, not phones per se, lined up, connected with a computer. And the guy is running a program where some input is given to all 50 phones, and every phone has a different language. And so you can't really say, so all those things they're doing, they're concentrating there because they know that if they can mislead their men people by saying that काफिरों को मारना है, jihad कर लो, रोटी पानी छोड़ दो, मरना is glory, this world is useless, you need to go to the next world and meet hoods and all. So this is how they survive. But then world also sees the facts. But thing is, why should USA really be concerned about us? USA looks at us as a future competitor. UK, I'm sorry to say, you're sitting there, but it is not the power which used to be before World War II. No, it's gone down quite a bit. So these guys are also saying, okay, ठीक है यार, चल रहा है. We have a lot of diaspora in our country. Why should we create problems? Let them take out marches. Let them protest against in front of Indian embassies. So this propaganda carries on, but that nothing changes on ground. Today they may say Black Divas, Black Day, 5th August. We were celebrating abrogation of 370 and 30. We were celebrating. They were, and then Kashmiri leadership thought, okay, let's play smart. They went all the way to Delhi to agitate there when Jantar Mantar was on. So these things happen. They have nuisance value, but yes, for a day or two, they have an impact. But in larger scheme of things, Sarah, it doesn't really matter. We broke Pakistan into two. That is a historical fact, and we are going to break them again into three or four. That will also be a historical fact. Everything else is propaganda. But I feel that when people are hooked on to screens of their mobile phones, laptops, iPads, or televisions, we must concentrate on narrative building. We are bad at it. We admit this, and I tell you how bad we are. See, when Operation Sindoor happened, the DGISPR, that Chaudhary, whose father was a designated terrorist, and whose father did research on how to use gin to produce electricity. He did a research. He called Maulvis from all over the world and spoke to them that we don't want water and wind. We just want jinns, ghosts. They'll come and produce electricity. So he was designated, not because of that, because of his other activities, he was designated as an international terrorist by UN. His son is DGISPR, who keeps winking at female reporters, and at times he makes very funny statement. इधर से आओ, उधर से आओ, ऊपर से आओ, नीचे से आओ, the stupid guy. He took my name during one of his briefings. He showed my X handle and he said he's RNW agent. Now I look at this. I spoke to my guys here. I said, see, you are Satyavadi because some Gandhian DNA is permanently gone into our blood. But like Kirana Hill, we refused. We said, हमें तो पता ही नहीं था. Our that DG air operation, he said, अच्छा Kirana में हुआ. Achha, I didn't know. That's what he said in press briefing. So we at times we don't claim certain things. I say you can't claim. You tell us. We will claim that our forces have done this. No, we are not accountable. No, nobody. We are not drawing pay from anybody. We are independent country and independent freedom expression. I said my only requirement is whatever you tell me should be truth, which you are not able to tell openly, like Rana Hills. So even then, nothing happened. So I'm sure, and I'm apprehensive actually, that when Operation Sindoor phase 2 starts, the kinetic phase, Operation Sindoor is on. IWT is also part of Operation Sindoor. We will again be fighting very well, sorting out Pakistanis left, right, and center. But some Pakistanis sitting, some Mirpur is sitting somewhere, will declare 11-0, 10-0, and Trump will come to their aid, and all that thing will happen. But like I said, in longer, uh, long term, and in history of a country, what matters is how Bangladesh was created. It's another thing that Bangladeshis are today after us. They are as bad or as good as Pakistanis now, but that is the history. And ultimately, this is what Pakistan will face. In between their whatever time they have, they can keep creating propaganda. Then you guys are there, no youngsters. You must counter them. We also counter them. उसमें क्या है? But yes, information warfare age we live in, and this is important. And Indians are weak at it.
Definitely, sir. I think, like you said, Operation Sindoor opened our eyes to a lot of our things that we don't have yet, like our abilities. And it is an age of cognitive warfare. we, as you said, we have to be on ground with our narratives and our perceptives as well. What you've highlighted is very relevant to that. And so, on the same note, carrying on from that, if you were to step back from everything we've discussed today, what do you believe is the most important conversation the international community should be having about Jammu and Kashmir? And adding to that, what are we currently not talking about, which we should be talking?
It's nothing but history repeating itself after 50, 55
Yeah.
years. When genocide was happening in East Pakistan, West was looking away.
Mm.
And look at the way history works. 71, Pakistan was acting as a link between America and China because America and China had no diplomatic relationship till 71. Pakistan had promised that we will put you through, and this Henry Kissinger actually was sitting in. He used to come to Pakistan, take a Pakistani aircraft, and go to China to negotiate. So US was using Pakistan to open relationship with China, which US rightfully had recognized that future China is going to be a major power. They knew it. So Pakistan was playing a broker, and rightfully, when 71 happened and they surrendered and whatever happened, in 72, America established full diplomatic relations with China thanks to Pakistan. Today, you look at Pakistan, it is now playing game with Iran, trying to kind of uh, create a balance between Saudis and Iranians and Americans. Though Trump has now thrown them out in his talks, but they are there what they are. So similar situation. America needs Pakistan to counter China, CPEC, to counter us, whichever way, and if need be, to finger Iran, which by the way is not happening as of now because Iran oil is coming out via Pakistan and Chinese rockets are going into Iran via Pakistan. That is a different game. So what we should be talking about today is what we West is not talking. We are talking like Indian channels. If you see any every day, you find some report or everything that what Pakistan did in 71 to its citizens is doing again, not only in PoJK, it is doing in Balochistan, it is doing in KPK, it's also doing in Gilgit Baltistan. So this guy who's sitting in the lap of Trump, and by the way, when you say what we should be talking about, I'm saying we should be talking about, but it won't make any difference because all dictators and monsters in the world have had US backing after World War II. Okay, all the dictators. They killed Saddam, they only produced Saddam. They killed Gaddafi, they only made him Gaddafi. So this is what one day Asif Munir will also get knocked off, and Pakistan Americans will only will the way they sorted out General Zia ul Haq. Zia was killed by CIA. But yes, for talking points, for the sake of humanity, for the sake of respect for life and dignity of ladies and kids, the world must take note, but they won't. 71, when they refused, and Indira Gandhi went all the way to America to apprise the President of America. She was made to stand outside White House for 20 minutes on the door, waiting for, she was not allowed in. That was a humiliation. And when the war started, these guys actually sent their fleet to Indian Ocean to sort us out. Then Russians came and they saved us, kind of. So this world will not talk. Sir, I'm sorry. They should be talking. They will not. They don't. And you will find all these guys sitting in studios and making a lot of commentary as per the agenda they push. We should be talking of human right violation. If we are saying we are 21st century and every life is important and black lives matter and green lives matter, so every life must matter equally. But as long as US needs Pakistan, you look at the diplomacy, how it plays. US knows that China is supplying rockets and missiles to Iran via Pakistan. US also knows that China is getting oil from Iran via Pakistan. US also knows that 85% of Pakistani armament, army equipment, is of Chinese origin. Now, fact is that US and China are enemies. This 100% tariff power which has been given to Trump, it may be applied against us or may not be applied. That time only will show, but it will be applied definitely against China. Because China, you saw the last meeting Trump and this Xi Jinping had. So these guys, America, When I say America, I'm actually referring to West, because West, whatever may be turbulence in NATO, whatever, they still toe a line which US toes. So America needs Pakistan, and America feels that if China is supplying hardware, let it be. I'll save my dollar. In any case, America doesn't have equipment to supply today, because after having sent so much into Ukraine and Israel, they are now defunct, and Iran, of course. America cannot open a new front. America wanted India to fight against China. We refused, so tariffs started on us. So this Trump kind of diplomacy he's brought to the world table, which this also needs to be spoken to. This is not how superpowers are supposed to behave. Superpowers always play dirty. That's why superpowers. America has been never anybody's friend, but it was all done behind curtains, under the table. Now everything is right on. I mean, you have Operation Sindoor happening. Before that, Pahalgam incident happens. 2 days after Pahalgam, USA Trump signs a Bitcoin deal with Pakistan, where his own son-in-law and all those things involved. So let's not hope too much from the world. You and me can talk, and we were talking. Nobody cares. What is happening to Chinese Muslims in Xinjiang is a case study. How mosques have been converted into dance clubs, nightclubs. How their scriptures are used to the holy books are being torn, and the pages are used to pack up stuff like murmura and all that stuff. How guys are being fed for pork. How Quran is being changed. Is any Islamic country talking about? Is Pakistan talking about it? So people only talk when it suits them. And in today's world, silence is suiting West, which is embroiled in everywhere, from Iran to Ukraine, everywhere, and their economies are into gutter.
Mm.
So nobody's going to talk, other than maybe you and me and Sweta somewhere
So,
in the background. Yeah.
so like you said, West Asia has become a major point of concern as well. We've seen other countries reacting to those narratives. Israel, in particular, has done fairly well responding to a lot of these narratives. I think they've invested heavily, not just in diplomacy, but also in the people to people relationships and the diaspora engagement that we're doing. These potentially could be lessons that India could take from them. So as we make people hear us in some ways. In dealing with JNK also, and particularly PoJK, as we've been discussing. So shouldn't India be thinking beyond security and geopolitics and investing a little more in diplomacy, international outreach, people-to-people connections? That will definitely help our narrative setting.
Yes. See, why I didn't mention Strait of Hormuz and all that, because that's why I
Mhm.
said what Trump is doing is, I mean, so whatever. Our diplomacy, in my living memory, possibly they're doing the best. Performance of our diplomats has been pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's been pretty good. You know why we fail on narratives? It's not because we don't have, like, we had all these Gulf countries giving the highest civilian awards to Modi ji. Today, that Gulf countries are ganging up with Pakistan. This is how international diplomacy works. India has a unique problem. Narrative against India is built inside India. You will not see it happening in China. You will not see it happening in Iran. You see Iran, the kind of destruction which is happening in Iran, news and kind of damage which Israel has suffered. These things are not coming out in full. Look at our media. Operation Sindoor was happening. There were guys lining up and saying, "Oh, stop this war! Stop this war! Stop this war!" Moment Pakistan said Rafale has been shot down, our guys were saying, "Yeah, yeah, show us where are. Let's count the Rafale." So the best thing about our enemies, adversaries, are that they have elements inside India for whom self benefits progression matters so much that India can take a walk for all that care. This is a very unique situation which we have, and one reason we fail in our narrative building is this, because when our people go on foreign channels and speak against us, we have veterans. There's a guy who was thrown out of army for his character, this thing. He was advising Pakistanis 2 days before Sindhu, don't worry, India will not attack you. India is not capable of attacking you. And when India attacked, We celebrated. We said this guy is our agent. He was misleading Pakistan. Thereafter, he changed the tone and he said, "No, no, you should not be fighting India." He was telling Pakistanis, "Go and patch up with the Chinese. Go and patch up with international media. Build a case against India, okay? Because India has hit civilian targets of those madrasas and terrorists." Then there was a guy yesterday who was saying Delhi police was acting like Gunda. Again, a veteran, senior veteran, retired as general. So when people from our fraternity who actually once upon a time country kind of entrusted us with everything the nation has, if they are coming out and talking like this, what to talk of journalists and what to talk of fourth columnists, what to talk of cockroaches and rats and snails. So it's money at play. And unfortunately, historically, we always had traitors inside our country. That's a reason for every good thing which we do, there are 10 people, or like we do good thing and we don't speak about it. That is another problem we have. There are 10 people who are trying to tell others that we done something very bad, even when we done some wonders. So that's a problem. It's not diplomacy failing. It is a DNA which we have inside our DNA which got corrupted during British rule and before that Mughal rule. We forgot our ethics. We those traditions, what Vedas teach us, what Sanatan teaches us, that's all gone. Now life is revolving around the reels and propaganda videos, and we take them line, hook, and sinker. Everything which is being fed thrown us at, we just you saw what happened in CJP protest and what was happening in Delhi, and how many FIRs have now been taken out, and 3,000 criminals been booked from so-called students. You tell me another country where this problem exists. USA also faced a bit of it when Israel went into Gaza. They also campuses were, they're shut and the people are sitting on the campuses, putting on tents and saying we'll not study. They also had this a taste of it. But then they're a developed country, they are superpower. And country like USA, whatever we may like them, we don't like them, they rule the world. It's a fact. We are not in that. We are aiming to be there. So our journey and their journey is different. So when their students protest, when their people speak against the government, when their one mayor paints a train with Iranian flag while US is fighting with Iran, that's a different. They're a different level. They don't actually. Many Americans don't even know where Iran is on the map. They don't care. Ours is a different setup. Subcontinent is a different setup. Here, if you collude with enemy or adversary, those who don't like it, they speak about it. But there are many who don't. They take the other thing because you don't like your prime minister's face, because 55% of India doesn't vote for BJP or Modi Saab. The 55% population in the country is ready to grasp whatever you throw at them. They are more than happy to believe what you tell them, which could be 100% lie. So that's the basic reason why our narrative building is weak and why people are able to create narratives from within India. And like I said, other than US, you don't see it in Russia, you don't see it in China, you don't see it in Israel. Nobody else allows it. So, but diplomatically, I think we've done pretty well. We have seen that era where a passport was insulted, nobody would care. Today, if you see, generally on international airports, you're treated well. Even when Trump is breathing down our neck, uh, Americans, common man to common man, it's okay, life goes on. Okay, there are some crimes against students, which happens everywhere. But I think where we found, like I said, I am 57 today. So if you take out 17 years when I didn't care for anything in life, so 40 years at least I've not seen India doing so well diplomatically. I said it's not perfect. We are not in a position to dictate terms to the world. We can't, but we are standing up. You see Dr. Jaishankar giving back to Europeans, giving back to Americans. Of course, that leads to another thing that we then start facing threats of FCRA protest and then student protest and tariffs and all those things, because they know that India cannot be tackled militarily. If they couldn't take over Iran, what to talk of India? So what is the weapon left? Weapon is this, which they are not found in Iran. Iran, despite destruction, despite hardships, people are not protesting against government. They were protesting earlier before Khomeini was killed, but that we also know that 1,000 Kurds were infiltrated, then Balochs were infiltrated, and that the truth came out when which Iran showed it to diplomats of the world. Here the story is different, so we have our own different challenges. But okay, that's how it is.
Right, so like I hope that it's conversations like these and platforms like these that can somehow help in this narrative battle.
Yeah.
You've given us a lot of time today. We're very grateful for all the information that you've shared with us and the time that you've spared for us. Thank you so much for being here, sir. It was a very interesting conversation. I personally had a lot of fun listening to you, and I hope our viewers do as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank